Audio test. How's the audio? All right, so music is playing. Hopefully it's not too loud. All right, if I turn this down to a normal volume. Do I need to put the mic closer to my face? All right, how about that? Is that a better volume? All right, I think that sounds pretty good. Okay. So then the next thing I want to test real quick is the YouTube audio. Audio test. Hello, me. Audio test. Then the next thing I want to test real quick is the YouTube audio. Audio test. All right, audio sounds good. Good deal. All right, cool. Let's do this. Let's rock this joint. All right, so anyone who happens to come across this video and makes it past my audio test, just so you're aware, I am working on creating a GitHub community. The link should be in my profile on Twitch and YouTube. It's a work in progress. I don't know if anyone's actually going to be interested in using it, but I've created a couple of channels on there, kind of showing off my own interests. Maybe I'll find some people who have like-minded interests. I mean, at a bare minimum, we could always talk programming or C++. But I've got a couple other interests I don't mind going over if people find it worthwhile. And that'll probably be all I say about that. Okay, so last stream, I think I left off on creating... actually, God, I just did this yesterday and I don't even remember what I did. Let's take a look at the Git history. I was messing with a bunch of data because we were originally trying to create this command fire weapon, but I couldn't really support this until I changed how I manage data in my project with Godot. And now that I'm about ready to do the fire weapon, I have to think about how I want to handle collision, if you will, invisible collision. So like when a missile is flying, and you got your aircraft flying here like this, or no, wait, that's a missile. This is a missile. This is an aircraft, right? So eventually, I'll get into some kind of radius here where the missile will detonate. So, I mean, it's simple radius detection on determining this, but I'm trying to decide if I want to implement that myself or if I want to use Godot collision detection. Hey, Adam, how's it going? Look crazy? What? I'm not that crazy, I don't think. I'm just working on my my Godot game right now, or I'm getting ready to actually. I literally just started, so you kind of walked in on me walking through all of that. Oh yes, sorry. Yeah, playing with the fingers. You're right, because I'm trying to think aloud. If I like the single finger is a missile being fired, and then the hand is like your aircraft, right? I don't know enough about Godot to know how I want to manage the data, if I want to implement it myself, or if I can make use of like Godot collision systems to do it for me. So I got to think about that. Too much coding. Oh man, I mean, I did just work an 8-hour day of coding, and now I'm doing more coding. So you might be right. Too much coding, but that's okay because I have a monster, not sponsored, uh, my second monster, and it will get me through the evening. Probably. So I want to. What do I want to do? I guess I can launch my app real quick, make sure everything's still kosher. If I move this over here, how's that look? That's probably good enough. All right. Where's my controller? Gotta turn my controller on. All right, we're detecting a track. We're able to latch onto it. I'm gonna fly to the cluster of enemies out there. Actually, I think there's a missile somewhere. There it is. Okay. Yeah. All right, that's working. So I really need to figure out, we're getting really close to launching missile. Maybe I should launch the missile before I worry about how I want to manage the data too much. Commands, fire weapon. So if I'm going to fire a weapon, I'm essentially going to be creating an entity in the world to track, to find a track and target it. How do I do this? Well, step one, create the command. I'm going to have an ID for who is shooting the missile. We're going to have an ID for the target. So ID shooter, ID target, function, I already forget how the commands work. Execute, there we go. Well, that's not right. So I think I want to, what do I want to do? I want to initialize an entity with a pursuit maneuver to chase the target. I think this would be a fake missile, like a fake missile that tracks someone. And then I'll have a weapons system, which I haven't implemented yet. So we create the entity to create the motion system. So that puts the weapon in a flying state. Do I even have a command to create an entity? I don't think I do. Because I think I create entities via the world in the Godot editor, actually. All right, so we have enemy scenes in our world. On ready, they call create int. Oh, I never created a command to do this, so I really don't want to do it this way. What do I do? I could have a create command create weapon. So command fire weapon would create a weapon and oh man. So I need more data actually. I need to give the weapon stats so it knows how like fast to fly. What to do? What to do? Decisions. So I define the data in database, weapons, missile. So we have... So we create a weapon type. We're also going to need a stats type, I think. And this derives from type entity. There's probably a better way to do this in Godot. And I have no idea what it is. But I'm thinking there's going to be a type stats that we will initialize an entity with predefined stats depending on the different types of weapons and entities we're going to create. So that means I need a type stats.gd, which means that I have a stats data down here, data stats. It's basically going to be this. So I wonder if this goes away. So I'll copy this for now. I'm going to set these to 0 by default, so if I do forget to set them, basically nothing works, versus a 5 by default means a bunch of stuff will work mediocrely. Is that a word? Mediocrely? We'll say it is. So type entity can take on type stats, and then our weapon can or the missile. The missile can initialize, let's see, so that's the weapon. Category. So now I need to do type stats. Speed. There's no speed on here. Stupid autocomplete. Type stats dot kinetic equals. A weapon, a missile especially, is going to be pretty darn fast. Probably faster than anything. Yeah. Type stats. Its maneuver, maybe because of how fast it is, this maneuver won't be as good. Type stats dot durable. Its durable will be pretty weak, pretty low, right? If you can shoot a missile out of the sky, it'll probably die immediately. Is it going to be a smart missile? I like that stat. No. It's going to be a dumb missile. It's just going to be doing like one thing, right? It's just going to pursue. And then the sensor, the missile will have a sensor, and it won't be very stealthy. This is so arbitrary right now, because I don't even know if I want to use these stats for weapons. It's basically going to be immediately seen. Oh, it just occurred to me, I could have just done... I could just do this. Wait a minute. I think that works. What's it not like here? Is it not like colon? Really? Oh, probably because it already has a type defined for it. That makes sense. All right, let's see. GD format. Okay. The only thing I changed was what was initialized. So let's make sure this still runs without breaking on me. Ooh, we didn't like something. No, I don't think it's an issue. Could not resolve type, or could not resolve class type entity. That's a lie. Yeah, there we go. All right, we find our track. We latch onto it. Sweet. Cool. I think we're good. I think we are good. Type weapon, type stats. So these stats will determine how to initialize the weapon when we create the entity. Okay, there we go. Because now what I can do is I can look this up. So a command fire weapon might pass in weapon air missile. I use this to look up my entity type, grab the type stats off of it, and pass it in. Okay. So where's that command at? So command fire weapon would be like Briarthorn dot is my database its own global or is it a part of Briarthorn? I forget. Database stats map. Oh, it might be its own global, but maybe I changed that. Database. Database types. Database type. All right, I'm not crazy. Database types. Yeah, I call it database types node, which means database types is it's probably like database types. There we go. Found that. Database. I'm using this somewhere. Or I thought I was. Yeah, I have to be using this. I'm using this in my track renderer. Track list. DB types. I'm calling it DB types. So I should probably move this under Godot or under the Briarthorn object so that just it's easier from a coding perspective. Like, hey, you need to access something globally, you access Briarthorn. So what is that? Project settings, globals, DB types. So I'm going to remove this. I'm sure that'll have no consequence. Boop. And then I need to add it here. So we have databases var types equals new. So now I can just do briarthorn.types. Track list. Let's make sure this is good. So DB types becomes briarthorn.types. That might be all I need. DB types. I think that's all I need. All right, sweet. First try. First try, let's go. That can't be good. That did not work first try. What did I get wrong? Could not find... Oh, DB types was the name I gave the global value because it can't match the same as the script value. So where did I put that? DB underscore types. So now I can not name this... Actually, this doesn't even have to be a node anymore. I'm learning more. I thought I had to derive from nodes, but I can actually derive from resource. Which is a automatic, I think it's the lowest level object in Godot that still does automatic memory management. I think I can go one step lower and use like object or something like that, but then I am in charge of freeing the memory. So what do we got here? Entities, preload, database types. If I'm going to call this class database types, then I want to call this rename. Database types. Okay. Database types. And then my Briarthorn object uses database types. There we go. Run. Boom. Think we're good. As long as we still get tracks showing up, we do. That means my types are working. Awesome. Making progress. Let's go ahead and state. Oh my god, I've already made a bunch of changes. Except this. We don't need this. What is all of this? Refactor type database to initialize under the Briarthorn global. Let's push it up. All this work just to launch a weapon. All right, so now back to what I was originally doing yesterday, which was trying to write a command fire weapon, and I keep finding stuff I'm missing. Okay, so if I want to launch a weapon, I need to get access to the weapon's types. And command fire weapon means I also need to launch type weapon? Types.category. So when I choose to command a weapon to fire, because right now, eventually we're going to have like allocated weapons on your aircraft, depending on which aircraft class you're going to run. That could be bombs, missiles, bullets, laser beams, you know, drones. You could have defenses, stuff like that. It all depends on what you pick up throughout the game. But for now, just to get a proof of concept working, I think this is a good starting point. You pass in a category, so like air missile, and we will use that information to look up the stats. Ooh. I think I'll call this category. This I'm going to call type weapon. Except I don't have a get weapon. I have it. It should just be get. Oh man, I think it's get get entity based on a category. Yeah, I think that's what I want. Get entity. I'll call it type entity. What does it not like? What am I doing wrong? Oh, I have to do this. Okay. So then once I have it, I want to grab the type stats. if type stats is null, do nothing. I guess. But eventually, like, we want to initialize weapon entity with stats from the entity weapon type. Hmm. Oh. Hmm. Because I want to initialize the entity or the weapon's position at the same location as the shooter. So I need to look up, I need to grab the shooter as well. Var shooter equals, so we get the entity that is the shooter. Okay. So that gives me the shooter. Well, I guess I need to check. If shooter null, can't do anything. Var position shooter. Okay. Ooh, heading we probably want as well, don't we? Oh, wait, is it shooter.getPosition or is it shooter.kinematics? I think it might be kinematics. Shooter kinematics position. I don't think it's dot value though. Position. This might be dot value, but this is just position. Okay. Okay, so the position shooter. Heading of the shooter. That way the missile will at least point in the direction of, or at least start off pointing in the same direction as the shooter. So then I want to create an entity. I don't know what the best way to create an entity is. Is that does that become its own command? Command create entity? I'm gonna sneeze. I'm gonna sneeze. Oh, pardon me. Apologies. Because where was I creating that entity? Enemy dot, is it enemy dot gd? Enemy dot gd. Because I think this becomes a command as well. Because I think this eventually becomes like var command create entity dot new entity ID category command dot kinematics stats Briarthorn dot command. So this would let you create a new entity. You wouldn't assign an ID, I don't think. right? Because we're not using IDs here. Oh, interesting. Because I want to keep track of... Oh, man. What's the best way to do this? Somebody tell me. I don't know what to do. If I used Godot's node-based architecture, I would create an enemy scene, and I would add components. A component to render the track. No, I still need a way. I still need something that represents the underlying data so I can run logic on it. I do still need that. Because I don't want to have to traverse the Godot render tree for all of that state. I want to keep that separate. In theory, your game should be able to work without the graphics. Especially if I ever want to like add a server side solution for people to run their own games or something like that. So the question then is, if I instantiate an entity like this, how do I get access to that entity? I know how. I know how. Because I think I'm trying to use two different solutions here. I'm using Godot's nodes to generate my data instead of using the data to generate the nodes. The problem is I want to use, or I thought I was going to use Godot as kind of like my world editor. So I think I can select one of these guys, zoom in or out. Yeah, so you can kind of see, maybe, I don't know if anyone can see or not. My vertical viewers can't see, that's for sure. Can you see now? Not really. Wow. Why? Wonder why it's doing that. Apologies, my vertical viewers, for you're kind of stuck looking at. I'm gonna have to fix that, I think. Here, I'll get this up in the corner for you. There we go. All right, so if I zoom in on one of these guys, we'll see that this is one of the enemies that we're playing against. So I like the idea of using Godot to kind of drag and drop to build a level. The problem with that is that's like Godot's node-based way of doing things. And under the hood right now, I'm kind of doing a more data-oriented approach where I want to keep my data separate from the nodes so that I can more easily process only the data I care about without having to navigate the Godot nodes. But I don't know if that's actually buying anything. Whereas I could use Godot group nodes, because all my data under the hood is just a reference counted pointer anyway. Programming's hard, especially when you're like when your game is starting to get even remotely complex. I mean, look at all this. I've already got a bunch of code written. And I'm trying to like find a solution that I like that I can deal with for the rest of the development of the game because I would rather refactor now than a month from now. Because a month from now we're going to have a lot more in here. We're going to have missiles flying, different enemy types, different items. So I'd rather get this figured out now. Because I think the other thing that would have to change is all this this type data in this database that I've been writing, which is kind of like the static hand configured data. This might become like T resource files or something that I assign to nodes. I would almost want to start another temporary project to experiment with how I want to manage data. Now that I have a little bit more information with Godot. Is that what I should do? Start a brand new Godot project to see if I can figure out if I want to manage data differently? So if I use groupings, that would be like my data models. So I can add it to a global group or a scene group. Node add to group or node remove from group. I can mark the group. I can mark the, you can optionally mark the, you can optionally mark the option global, which will make the group visible project wide and able to be reused in any project scene. This will allow you to give it a description. When done, press OK. So in this manner, these groups could technically become the data models. Warning, the same underlying logic you use for both global and scene groups, groups with the same name, are considered one and the same. This feature is purely organizational. You can manage global groups in the global groups doc inside project settings. There you'll be able to add new global groups or change existing group names and descriptions. I kind of want to not start over, but create a new Godot project to experiment the Godot way versus trying to shoehorn my data oriented way. Because I don't know. I don't know how complicated my game is going to end up being. You know? Decisions. I don't know what to do. Using code. Okay, so you can use code to add stuff to groups dynamically, it looks like. So how would you access? In the fictional example below, we use scenetree.call group to alert all enemies that the player was spotted. So is that like an event? Enter alert mode. So all guards. Oh, it is like an event. Okay, so that would almost be like our command architecture. Hey, Slipped Psy. I'm brand new to the programming and game development, so your channel caught my attention. I appreciate you stopping by. You are witnessing a C++ industry veteran try to make a game in Godot, and so you're kind of witnessing me learn Godot in the first place. I mean, I do technically have somewhat of a game up and running right now, but I'm running into a situation where how I would normally write code is not playing nice with how Godot wants you to write code. And so I'm trying to figure out how I want to go about handling that. But eventually, this game... Oops, I hit something. Whoops, I did it again. Oh, and then I pulled up my Steam. Standby. Exit big picture mode. Oh my gosh. Never hit the center button on your controller when you're trying to turn it on, because everything goes haywire. But yeah, so I'm just trying to figure out how I want to manage all the data in my game with Godot. That's kind of where things are at. And I'm reading some documentation. Let's shrink this a little bit. Put it over here so we have a little bit of eye candy. So I can create guard. So what is, wait, call group enter alert mode. So does that mean I'm going to have a function? The above code calls the function enter alert mode on every member of the group guards. Wait, what? So what is enter alert mode? Is that its own standalone? It doesn't show. To alert all enemies that the player was spotted. The above code calls the function enter alert mode on every member of the group guards. So does this work if every node you add to guards doesn't have enter alert mode? Like, what does that do? To get the full list of nodes in the guards group as an array, you can call get nodes in group. Okay, so I'm thinking I can treat groups as the data models that I have today. The scene tree class provides many more useful methods. So I'm going to have to experiment with this because I don't know. I assume this only gets called if nodes in this group have this function. So then it's almost like an optionally handle it. Because I'm not seeing anything that says like how you implement it. There's no way to obtain nodes only in your nodes scene group yet. A workaround for this is to iterate through your nodes children first and then use isInGroup method. Oh god. Hopefully that's been fixed. That was 2 years ago. You need to use find children. Yeah. I'm interested to know the use case. I think I'm missing something. Currently, we cannot have duplicate group string names. I assume you have code that is adding spawners to the group. So that seems like a place that could emit a signal. Ooh, is that just a signal? All right. I think I'm going to have to experiment a little. So maybe today I don't implement any more of my game and I experiment with Godot a little bit to get a better idea of what it's capable of so that I can make better decisions. But more, let's see, this interface, select one or more nodes in the scene dock, then click add button. Remember that the group adds removals and calls all. How can we differentiate in code when creating a global or a scene group? Worth noting that it appears that getTree call group fails silently when the method called is an async task. I think an issue for this has been open, but I figured it'd be worth posting here. Interesting. I need to learn more about call group. I think this was just giving an example, so I need to look up call group, I think. Call group. Removing old creeps? What? This just took me to the same documentation. You know, sometimes Google is the better documentation lookup. Godot call group. Oh, this even lets you pass in this. Okay. So maybe this replaces the command API I was using. If I were to go this route. If you need more control over how the function is called, you can use call group flags. This takes additional group call flag arguments. Default calls members in reverse order, call deferred. It executes at the end of the current frame. Key considerations: decoupling. Call group allows a node to trigger actions on others without having a direct reference to them. This is a best practice. Okay, so call group is kind of like the command API I manually wrote. So part of the issue is there's a way I write code, and I just didn't know that Godot provided some of this for you. It just gave it a different name. Get nodes and group enemies. Now, I'm not going to write code like that. Be careful with arguments. Passing null as an argument can sometimes cause silent failures if the receiving function doesn't have a default value. Is there really no other documentation to this call group function? I don't understand. How do I... Where's like the actual code documentation? This is an example. Get tree. Is it under scene tree? Aha. Okay. Calls method on each node inside this tree added to the given group. You can pass arguments to method by specifying them at the end of this method call. Nodes that cannot call method are ignored. Okay, so that's what I was curious about. So I could add other stuff to the group, and if it doesn't have that function, it just gets skipped. This method acts immediately on all selected nodes at once, which may cause stuttering in some performance-intensive situations. Right. So if I have like 1,000 enemies and I tell them all to, I don't know, blow up at the same time, then it would have to process all of them. See also set group and notify. Ooh, what's notify group? Calls the notification. So I think this is kind of like their event system. With the given notification to all nodes inside this tree added to the group. This method acts immediately. Yeah, so we just got to be careful. So call group might not be the way to go. I might still be able to use groups. But there's only so much you can do by speculating. Sometimes you just need to start writing. I am going to start writing. Not yet. Slip. You're kind of witnessing me build all this up for the first time. So I'm working on this game. This is technically the first game I am actively trying to turn into a releasable product. I also have a mobile app I'm working on, which isn't a game. It's a tool for Magic the Gathering that I work on the side. I've worked on it a couple times on stream here, but that's using a completely different programming language, completely different project entirely. All of that's on my website in my links, but nothing actively for sale yet. The cool thing is I don't have like any logic that I need. I've already written, so I can always pull that in again. So I think, ooh, actually, not getting all this set up was kind of complicated. But that's okay. I just need to get, oh man. Yeah, actually, that was kind of complicated. I don't remember how we did that. That was over the course of months. We gave it a controller to drive it. But then we have logic for driving it, I think. Based on stats. So I don't want to worry about any of that. I just want to figure out, what do I want to learn? I want to figure out if I make a world editor, do I just add these to a group as my data model? Because I still need the data in the world to exist and not be visualized. I still need a track list to be generated based on what a player's radar finds. I still need all my stats. Maybe I don't start from scratch. Maybe I just use my current project decisions. Because this enemy has, let's look at it in here. What is that? Enemy.gd. Does Godot have a way to like automatically generate? I guess I don't really need that right now. I want to look up. Let me find something else here. I also do Slip. I also do a bunch of C++ on the side. I have a just a fun little game engine project I'm implementing. If you ever care to learn a little bit about C++, I'll sometimes stream that. But I will forewarn, it's a little more advanced. I'm not really going over the basic concepts of C++ unless someone actively asks. So it's kind of far along, and I'm able to compile it on like Windows, Linux, Mac, inside a browser, on Android, that kind of thing. All right, what was I going to look up? Godot actions. Let's see what Godot does. Player scene and input, not input actions. That's not what I want. Learning C++ right now, but I'm only in the fundamental stage right now, so I probably will have trouble understanding, but I want to dive deep. Hey, you are in the right place to learn some C++. I'm using a lot newer stuff. I have an open source project called Awin. I'm using C++ modules that may or may not mean anything to you. I use CMake and Ninja for cross-platform compilation to work with the different compilers. Compile, for, like I said, I compile for the web browser and Android as well. Um, for those who are in the or paying attention to the stream right now, I literally just created a GitHub server. Links are also in my description. I've got a couple of developers that I work with who are in that channel right now, but if you join, you'd be the first people to join. And I would be open to going into more detail on C++ in my free time as I'm available to answer questions, that kind of thing. Let's see, Godot actions. See, it's not input actions. I want to be like Godot call group actions. Wish there was more examples. So this expects your data inside the group to have the function. It's not quite how I want to do that. But it does allow you to change state. Ooh, I think the bad guys are on their way to me. Save state. Ooh. Saving data, trigger a save function on all objects that need to persist. Interesting. Call the method at the end of the current frame. Use the call for the end of the frame. Useful for avoiding physics or thread conflicts. I feel like that would be useful for saving. Key behaviors to remember. Silent failure. If a node in the group does not have a specified method, Godot will simply skip it. Performance. Because then I could add nodes to like... Oh yeah, persist. Like I could add a persist. Because I really haven't really thought about how I wanted to handle saving. So that could work. Okay. HUD elements hide. I could see that being like is that how you would want to do like your pause menu? Understand call groups. Let's get rid of notifications. I don't need any of this showing up. That's why I use call groups. Calling groups in between scenes. Yeah. All right. I think I've settled on starting a new project real quick just to explore some of this. Let's see here. So I'm gonna close Godot. And I also need to make sure my vertical stream can be seen. But we're gonna create a new project. We're gonna call it Briarthorn Explore. Except I'm gonna put it in my on my D folder, dev. Can I not create a new folder? Briarthorn Explore. Oh wait, maybe I need to select current folder. What's forward plus? I think I want compatibility, right? Supports desktop, mobile, web platforms, least advanced 3D. Yeah, that's all I need. Create. Cool. All right. So let's create a folder called source. let's create a folder called data. And let's create a folder called scenes. Is that right? Folder called database. So I still want like my static data, my code. Can I move these? Move to source. New. All right. So then I want to create a 2D scene. This will be called Briarthorn. Briarthorn. This is just the root node. It doesn't really need to be a 2D scene, I don't think. Can it just be a node? Change. Okay. So inside my database folder, I'm going to have a... Oh, man. I still don't know what to do here. Because I'm picturing... Yeah, I need a scene. Static data. So this is kind of like my icon. So this will be like... What will this be? I think I was calling it enemy before. I guess I can still call it enemy. Enemy.tscene. Invalid root node name characters have been replaced. Root node name. Root name. When empty, the root name is derived from the scene. Am I doing this wrong? Enemy. Shoot. I've already forgot how I wanted to do this. Is the goal for this to be a cross-platform game? Yes. Yeah, the goal is definitely be cross-platform. For me personally, I have a lot of experience developing applications for cross-platform, so the effort of learning how to do it and maintaining it, all that, I've already put into my career. So for me, it's not that much effort to make sure the game will work on other platforms. And Godot, which is what I'm using here, the game engine, it works for most platforms. And I already have it in GitHub Actions. Like I have my game up in GitHub to compile for Linux, Mac, and Windows to start with. And then we would go from there. I assume Godot would support the dream is making it big, right? If the game ever got so popular that I would want to support Nintendo Switch, for instance. I don't know how Godot handles that. I have not dug into that. I know I want static data. The static data, okay, yeah, I got it. So create a new folder. This will be called, I think I called it air. No, that's generic. Let's do fighter. Oh no, this is a folder. This is gonna be scenes. Okay. So inside here, this is, since I'm not an artist, I am basically going to be doing this. We're gonna create a fighter scene and hit OK. And then we're gonna edit this guy. Can I collapse this? Oh. Oh no. I don't know if I actually wanted to do that. Oh well. I definitely did not want to do that. Bring it back. I need the... What do I need? I need the... Is it inspector? Yeah. Okay. So my fighter is going to be a triangle. That's how I represent a fighter track. So we will add a polygon node to draw. And because it's going to be a triangle, it's going to be pretty simple. It's going to have 3 points. And then we can zoom in because I'm going to make it a unit length of 1, which means half up, half down. So the first point will be the tip of the triangle, which should be at negative 0.5 because Godot is negative in the up direction. And then you always go counterclockwise as a good habit for graphics. Let's see. Except I don't want the triangle to be equilateral. I want it to be... Ooh, what is it called? Is it an isosceles triangle where only 2 sides are of equal length? So negative... Let's do negative 0.25 and 0.5. And then this will be 0.25 and 0.5. Yeah, there we go. That's all I want. Just a simple triangle. Uh-oh. I'm drawing lines. Just a simple triangle to represent the enemy that gets loaded, that I can perform lookups on. So then I need... What do I need? I think Godot uses something called a resource file. Because the way I was doing this... If I call it resources, for instance, I want to define an enemy, a bad guy, if you will. Yeah, I think it's just a resource. So this will be my... Let's just call it enemy. Enemy. Actually, we need to give it a different name. We want to make it an enemy aircraft. Enemy fighter. Rename. So fighter enemy. Is a resource folder similar? That's a great question. I would say I would consider assets like imagery, icons, fonts, like different types of data you need to load. So I would say in this scenario, my scenes here are kind of like the assets. I created a triangle using a scene instead of creating a like a PNG image or a JPEG image. Fonts would be those assets, that kind of thing. It's all naming convention. The only reason I'm calling it resources is because Godot literally has something called a resource. So I'm going to put all my resources in this folder. Is that the best way to do it? I don't know. It's what makes sense to me at the moment. And then when I learn better, I will change it. That's kind of what you're seeing me do here is I'm exploring because I'm not sure how I wanted to actually implement continue implementing my current game. So in here, I think you can add a script. Is that what I want to do? What's load? No. Local to scene. If true, the resource is duplicated for each instance. Okay, yeah, no, I don't want that. I can give it a resource name. Maybe I want to give it a script. Okay, how do I edit it? Oh, there we go. Okay. Is the script added anywhere, or is it a part of the resource file? Oh, now I'm curious. Let's close this project and open my exploration project. Open folder. I'm curious if it hides the script file in here. It assigns a script called GD script. Interesting. Okay. So, gosh, I don't even know how to do this. Is it just literally var enemy kinematic stats? I'm thinking because I want the option to define stats for all my players. So this would be kinetic int equals fighter. It might have a kinetic of 8. Var maneuver int. Might not be as maneuverable. Var durable. Somewhat durable. Var. What else do I got? What are my stats? Kinetic, maneuver, durable, compute. We'll make it a somewhat dumb. Sensor, int, stealth, int equals 2. Not very stealthy. Ooh, not 26. Okay. So, so my question is, eventually I want to look this up. Or I assign it. I think that's what it is. I have to assign it. So now in my main scene, we'll call this main.scene. So if I hit play, it's just going to be a gray, select current. Yeah, it's just going to be a gray window. Okay, that's fine. All right, so in my main scene, I want to create a... I need to create a node that loads my fighter resource. Oh, that's the other issue, isn't it? I also need... I want to load the fighter scene. Right? I can't see... Toggle bookmark. Oh my god. I'm not a huge fan of the Godot editor itself. Especially when I'm trying to like keep things narrow for the stream. I'm still curious where this Godot script is landing. Because it's not in... Oh. Whoops. I think I saved my main.t scene to the wrong location. Let's can I move that? Move. I want that to be at root level. Okay. Will it still run? Yes, it runs. Do you have any opinions on the game engine Unity? I have 0 opinions whatsoever. I probably tried to use Unity. Gosh, how old's Unity? I want to say I probably tried to use Unity like almost 10, 15 years ago. It's been a long time. When I first started to explore learning how game engines worked, I also gave Unreal a try. I am thoroughly experienced in C++, and Unreal Engine is a monster of a game engine to learn and get through. So much so that like I just didn't have any interest. Unity, I just never tried because I think Unity's C#, right? I know very little C#. I can read it, like it's easy enough to read, but I've never written any C#, so it's just not something I've ever tried. Godot, its back end is C++. I actually a week or two ago, it wasn't last week because I was on vacation. The previous week, most of my game was written in C++, and then I used Godot extensions to inject my C++ code into GD script. It was just becoming such a pain to maintain with not a lot of benefit that I just switched everything to using Godot script directly. Because the game I'm trying to make isn't going to be like super performance critical, I don't think. And even if it is, I at least know how to write C++ and get it implemented to where any performance critical pieces, I could just write it in C++. But Unity, no idea. So if this is our default data for an enemy fighter, and then I want to be able to look this up while the game is running to grab this scene and load it. Because that's... Oh, someone messaged me. Nope. Okay. That's kind of cool. Sorry, getting this Discord server stood up. I'm using a bot to see if it will like notify when I go live, and it worked like pretty easily. So I was quite surprised by it. But yeah, so in my current implementation, I have this global variable that I can use in enumeration to look up the data. So I don't know how I actually go about looking up this data. I think I have to take a different mindset. I think I have to assign this data to a node and then use logic to create that node. And that node, at least for now, is just going to be me adding it here. So it's going to be something like, hey, I want to create an enemy. And I'm just going to give it node. Is that right? No, it should probably be node 2D because it's going to exist in the world, right? And I want to be able to move it around. Is that right? Yeah, I think so. So this is going to be my node in the world. It has no visual representation, at least right now, because I'm going to need something else that tells it that. And that's going to be this resource. So the question is, how do I do that? I think I call this enemy. And this enemy has a script. But is that going to be static? I don't think that's static. I think that falls under like game logic. So that's probably going to fall under here. I'm going to create a scripts folder. You guys are kind of witnessing me try and piece this together as I go. So yeah, I am not an expert. Don't copy and paste what I'm doing. Let's see. So we're going to have a scripts folder. I am going to attach a script. I'm going to call it enemy. Right? Except it's going to go under source scripts. Create. So how do I... Because we're going to have the data that's rendered in the world, and then the data that my player is going to render based on what it sees. And that's really what I want to render. So that's going to be its own node, its own logic. So that's where I think I have to add things to a group. Okay, all right, it's starting to come together. So I need... groups. Okay. So an enemy is going to belong to a An enemy. Ooh, it's not even just enemy. Entities. Entities. Global. Okay. Ooh, I can give it a description. Let's give it a description. Does that add or remove it? Oh, it sure does. Oh, can I not edit it? All right, it didn't need a description anyway. All right, so the reason I want to add or create an entities group is eventually my aircraft is going to have a radar, and I want to process searchable things. Ooh. Did I just convince myself I need a searchable group? We're going to call it entities for now, but that's subject to change. All right, so an enemy scene. It's cool to see this process. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. You're watching. I guess I won't say I'm a good developer. I will say I am an experienced developer, and so you're kind of watching or listening to my thought process as I figure all this out. Especially as someone who has not really used Godot all that much. So I'm thinking I have these nodes in a group that are easy to look up so that my aircraft with a radar can process those. So that way I can add a radar component to my player to process these groups. So I want that. That makes sense. I still don't know how to visualize this guy. And part of it is I'm eventually going to need a way to change the visual representation, because when you have a radar, you don't always know what's out there, but you know something is out there. So it starts off with like, oh, hey, there's a blob out there. And then it starts to shape. And it's like, oh, it's a triangle. Oh, that's an aircraft. And then it gets a color. Is it gray? Is it blue? Oh, it's red. Oh, it's a bad guy. Oh, what's that bad guy doing? Oh, God, it's shooting at me. Run, right? So there's a whole process there of logic that needs to shape and color what we're seeing. And so I need to figure out a way to dynamically do that based on an enumeration. So I have that enumeration. I could probably open up my actual game here. Let's where did I put that? Is that under types? Yeah. So basically I have this large, which will eventually grow, but I have this large enumeration that's going to define all the different entities in my game. Hey, there you go. Yeah, so enumerations are just kind of there to define what these entities look like. And depending on what this value is, it will change what I load. So in this case, in my Godot editor here, I need to figure out I know there's YouTube videos out there that show you how to do all this, but that would be too easy. I like figuring this out myself, because if I figure it out myself, I remember it. And if I remember it, I become that much better at it. I think I can assign I can do like at export var resource resource is that it? Okay, so that gives me a resource option here, and I can come in here and load my fighter enemy resource. Is that how that works? And then on ready, what do I need to do? I probably need to I need to load, I need to get This isn't, it's not called resource though. What is it? This is a fighter enemy. Can I do fighter enemy here? Fighter. Ooh, do I have to give it a name? I have to give it like a name or something, I think, so I can get access to these fields. Because without it, my code just sees type resource. And type resource does not have those fields. So I'm hoping I can do fighter enemy in an enemy enemy. Ooh, it does not like that. Intended block after function. Am I just doing this? Maybe I'm just doing this entirely wrong. Which is possible. Oh, there's the name. Come on, guys. Why didn't you tell me? Okay, so the name, maybe this is it. Fighter enemy. Okay. So then in here, hey, there we go. Oh, let's go. Okay. So then this shows up as a property that I can assign my data to. And then if I want to make it visual, so like right now, ooh. Am I doing something wrong? Parse error. Let's see. Could not find fighter enemy in the current scope. Ooh. Maybe I'm doing this wrong still. Or maybe it needs to be reloaded. Sometimes Godot's weird. Sometimes I need to reload it so it regenerates the oh, wait, what's this? Save changes to the following scripts before quitting. Why is that not working? Am I doing this wrong? Guess that's a bug. I don't know. Oh, what do we got here? We still have an error. Could not find type fighter enemy in the current scope. What a jerk. Can I do that? Oh, it didn't save the name. Fighter enemy. What is going on there? Is that better? Play. All right. You guys saw me put the name in, right? Why is it not? Am I doing this wrong? Fighter enemy. Okay, so enemy has a script. Add export resource. Resource path name. Fighter enemy. Fighter enemy. All right, I'm going to close it one more time. Reload it. Really hoping it just needed a project refresh. Crap. Son of a biscuit. Let's see here. What are we dealing with? All kinds of errors. Could not find type fighter enemy in the current scope. You're right. I get it. Enemy.gd. Is there such thing as @import? I don't know. @import. Doesn't appear to be. I need to look up naming a TRES file and accessing it. Which I can do. Maybe. Control-Shift-P, browser. Godot. TRES name is a text resource file. It is a plain text serialized format used to store custom data, object presets, or settings that can be easily read by humans, edited in the text editor, and tracked via version control. Relationships to resources. A TRES file is a saved instance of a resource class, while a GD script defines the template for that resource. So I wonder if I need to put class name. Maybe that's what I got wrong. Creation, they are typically created by creating a custom script that extends resource, adding class name to it. So this is the part I don't understand, is why would I create a TRES instead of a GD? Oh, is this what someone's asking? Yeah. All right, so maybe I do need to add that class name to the script file. Maybe that's what I got wrong. Let's try that real quick. Class name fighter enemy. I put this in the wrong. No. Okay. Where'd my enemy script go? Okay. I don't understand what. Could not find type fighter enemy in the current scope. Might need to watch a YouTube video on this. Ooh, you know what? You know what else helps? This is a good opportunity for an LLM to yell at me, let me know what I'm doing wrong. Okay, so the resource name is fighter enemy, so that works. A sub resource, I don't know where it's storing this data. It must be like create. Why is there a quote there? It must be creating it in the Godot here. Editor. Yeah, there's like scripts in here that it's probably generating on the fly. That's interesting. What is that quote? Is that? Oh, is that just a new line? Yeah, I don't know what that is. What's my error? The error is could not find type fighter enemy in scope. So I'm going to copy this. I'm trying to assign my fighter enemy.tres to my enemy.gd tscene property, or my enemy.tscene property. I export via enemy.gd, but I get the error. All right, let's see what happens. Actually, while that's running, I'll be right back. I want to heat up some food. I am starving. All right, let's go. Dinner is served. Mm. All right, did AI correct me? Was I doing something wrong? Oh, interesting. I was using an embedded script, and apparently I needed to use an external script. Oh, did it fix it for me? So if I'm just doing this, why do I need a .tres file? Is it just to have a manual? You know what? Let's ask, actually, let's ask the AI. I think I can ask it a question. Yeah. If I'm defining my resource in a GD script file, what's the point of defining a TRES file? My guess is it's just for the editor, but I have no clue. Oh. Oh. I am doing it wrong. Okay. So I guess how you're actually supposed to do this is, okay, so instead of fighter enemy, what I really need is a new script called entity. And entity this is where I will define at export wait, what? Yeah. Okay, so at export scene packed scene at export var kinetic and then I need what, 6 of these? Maneuver, durable, compute, sensor, stealth. By the way, if it isn't obvious, these stats are basically 1-to-1 to D&D. You've got strength, agility, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. I'm gonna change the music up a little bit. All right. Okay, so now it's saying that if I define an entity script, I don't need fighter entity anymore. Delete. Then I can explicitly define a fighter enemy type by adding a entity script to it. So I want to load entity script. There we go. So then I can say, hey, let's represent my fighter enemy with this scene. And then let's give it a value. Let's give it, what do we want to give it? What did I say? A fighter is probably pretty quick. It's okay at maneuvering. It's okay durability. It's not very smart. It's a dumb fighter. It's just going to go chase you down. Its sensor capabilities are pretty mid, and it's not very stealthy. Okay, now I'm understanding. Also, what in the world is that burger saying? It is a black bean burger. Just something I microwave. Super easy to make, or super quick to make, and then a slice of Colby Jack cheese. With a super high fiber bun. Oh, my cat's here. Hey, what are you doing? Come here. Come here. Want to say hi to the stream? Let's go. This is Trill. See if I can get him to actually do his namesake. What are you doing? Hmm? Hmm? You're not going to, are you? No, you're interested in my food, aren't you? You already have food. Yeah. You already have food, don't you? What are you doing? Mm-hmm. You're not gonna do it, are you? Are you camera shy? Huh? Are you camera shy? Yeah. All right. I'll let you go. He isn't gonna do it. Yeah, black bean burger. It's like I think it's black beans, corn, rice, all mixed together and formed into a patty with some seasoning. It's really good. And that's coming from a meat eater like me. All right. So this defines wait a minute. Where? That's an entity. This is a fighter enemy resource. The script defines its properties. So kinetic, maneuver, durable, compute, sensor stealth, all that looks good. So then in my enemy node, are you kidding me? Does this still not work? Oh, because its class name is entity. So, what am I doing? So the enemy script has an entity. So actually, I want to give this a different name then. I'm going to call this type entity to represent a data type. That way, once my game starts to expand and I have a bunch of different classes flying around, something too generic like entity would become confusing. So if I prefix everything with type, I know it's the statically defined data. All right. So this becomes type entity. So I guess I'll just name this type entity. All right, so now type entity appears here, and I should be able to select load from my database resources a fighter enemy T-res. So now when I hit play, it shouldn't crash anymore, but we're not going to see anything. That makes sense. So now what I can do is add child, type entity dot scene question mark. Do I have to load the scene? I might be doing this wrong. Dot instantiate. There we go. I think I'm also gonna have to scale its size. Or I could scale. Let's see, I'm adding it as a child. Yeah, I need to scale its size. So this is var scene equals type entity dot scene dot instantiate. Okay. We'll add scene as a child. Scene dot scale set scale. How do I scale? Maybe I have to scale the parent. I know what I need to do. Yeah, I know what I need to do. I just need to say this is a node 2D. Scene dot scale. Dot apply scale. What would be big enough that we can see it? 64 by 64, I guess. All right, first try. Let's go. Boom. Boom. Freaking boom. All right. It's starting to make a little more sense to me. So now I need to figure out how I want to handle dynamically changing the different symbols for the enemy. Yep, exactly, Slip. It's basically, at least how I understand it, it's basically how Godot handles database data. So, more complex games out there, they probably use an actual database to perform lookups. So, you're going to have all kinds of enemies, players, buildings, trees, items. Think about all the different items in a video game. And they all do something. They all have something that describes what they are. They all have a visual element that describes what they look like. All of that sits in a database somehow. Now, a lot of what I used to do is modeling and simulation, and we would store it all as XML, so just editable, human editable text. But that became a real pain when you're dealing with thousands and thousands of different like entity and item descriptions. So a database would be probably be easier to manage than that. I think how Godot is handling this is via these T-res files, these text resource files that will get, I assume, get compiled into your application and loaded automatically for you. And then you use them to define all your entities. So if I have a generic entity that defines everything in my game, I still need to find a way to dynamically change its scene based on an enumeration, based on its category. So basically, on this process function, I want to periodically change what my type is. So I might have a well, that enumeration that I described. So there might be an enumeration property on here that describes what this thing is, and then based on what it is, I need to look up a different scene and load it. Because this is how I do it right now in my game. I get the scene based on the enumeration type, instantiate it, add it, on track added, on track remove. I'm not really dynamically switching yet here either. I guess I haven't really solved that problem in general. So, I guess hmm, I could store the scenes separately. And then based on the enumeration, load a different scene. It might be what I need to do. Hmm. I could still have that there for the source of truth. Will the game know what the enemy type is before the player does, or will it choose one by the time the player can fully see it? Yeah, so the game will know. And the game will like always know what the type is, but I'm gonna have like the player will have a essentially a radar on it, and that so you can imagine. Actually, I wonder. I bet I can show you exactly how this works with how my game currently works. So I have in the world. If I zoom out far enough, yeah, okay. So you see like this formation of triangles. If I zoom in really close, you'll see it's a red diamond. So that represents my enemy in the world as it is. Okay, that is where it exists positionally. Now it's set up with a script to track down your player and hunt you down and shoot you kind of thing. But I can actually turn that off, or I can hide my enemies. So that's what this toggle visibility is. So now they can't be seen. So if I run the game, grab my controller here. Oh, is it doing it again? Okay. Now I can zoom out and there is nothing around me. But my radar here, represented by this light blue cone, if I find someone, it pops up. My radar found the enemy. So I know something's there. And now my cursor can latch onto it and I can start moving around. And I'll eventually find other enemies in the world. So there's basically two representations of my enemies. There is what we see in the editor, so drag and drop, position them, kind of like level editing, right? And then there is what the player sees. So I'm going to have this radar logic that sits there and says, hey, I know something's there. I don't know what it is yet. Maybe because your sensor stat right here is too low. If you had like max sensor, maybe you had a better chance of figuring out who's out there and which side they're on. But if you choose to go with like a low sensor stat, a low wisdom, if you will, you don't necessarily know if it's a good guy or a bad guy until it's too close, right? And I need logic to distinguish between the two. So right now, I'm kind of figuring out what that looks like. And so as the enemy gets closer, I might go from like, oh, hey, that's some unknown object, a square box, to, oh, that's something flying in the air, a gray triangle, to once it gets closer, oh, that's an enemy, a red triangle. And now you're seeing other enemies appear out of nowhere. Now, I fully expect, again, I'm only like a couple months into this. Once this gets a little more detailed and engaging, there's going to be a lot more happening in the world that you'll be able to see and interact with, I think. But for now, it's kind of just an open ocean of dark blue, and then I got enemies popping up. So I use those red diamonds that I have in the world here as like debugging. So I'm able to at least visually see where they are and make sure it looks the same as what the radar is picking up. It is loosely based on real radar systems. Very loosely. Okay. So I'm trying to figure out how to do that dynamic track switching based on what you have loaded. So I think I know what the issue is. So I want to be able to define at export var category. Does that work? Well, do I need to give it a name? Oh, type category. Does that work? No. Might have to give it a name. Crap. Um, there we go. Oh my gosh. All right. So this, a fighter enemy, is actually a vehicle air fighter. And then we would use that category to determine which scene we are. So I'm thinking because the scene and how the tracks are visualized are dynamic, we probably can't define a static value here. We probably still need to perform a lookup where we register all the different enumerations. Let's see what AI says. I'm curious if it thinks the same thing, if you will. Let's open up here. And also let's pull this up because I want to make sure this is in the context. Entity. I'm implementing a solution for dynamic visualization of enemies. That means based on the category enum, the enemy will be visually represented will be this. That means based on the category enum, the enemy visual representation will change. Currently, I define a scene in the entity.gd file, but I wonder if I need to do this differently so that I can have entity visual representations change. Does Godot offer any solutions for this, or do I need to implement my own? And part of it is static data is still good for level editing, so I can drag and drop and assign everything and all that fun stuff. But then eventually I want to hide all of that and have the radar render all of the tracks. So that might just be an entirely separate thing. Yeah, this is what I thought. This is basically what I was doing in my previous implementation. Godot offers a few relevant built-in mechanisms. Multiple pack scene exports on type entity is the simplest solution. Yeah, I don't know if I want to do that. Then in enemy.gd, I can do type entity.scenes category instantiate. Yeah, could do that. Downside, you'd have to populate the dictionary manually in the resource file, which is awkward. Swap a child scene at runtime, your own logic minimal. This is, yeah. Keep scene removed from type entity and instead have entity.gd look up the correct fact scene from. Keep scene removed from type entity. Instead, have enemy.gd look up a correct pack scene from a registry. Yep. Yep. That's what I figured. Godot's animated sprite 2D animation player built in. Nah, I don't want to do that. Theme style sheets. No. Okay, yeah. So I just need to create a registry of mapping the scenes to the different enums that I have, and then that will solve the problem for the radar lookup. Hmm. So I still want this here so I can represent the different entity types. So I have a fighter enemy, which defines vehicle air fighter. So then what would be another one? I was actively working on a missile. So we could do a missile. Missile. So then missile would also load an entity. And then I would have, if you could explore any place microscopically, what would it be? For me, the internals of a computer. Microscopically? That's a question I've never considered before. I have a pretty good understanding of the internals of a computer, so I don't think I would need to do that for exploration purposes. Um I think it would just be cool to see atoms, you know? Cuz you like, can you imagine just taking two solid cubes and pressing them against each other, and if you're at like the atomic level, just seeing how wide of a gap there actually is between the two. I think that would be cool. Yeah, I think I would have to go with that. I would want to see atoms. Oh yeah, the universe is, yeah, insanely empty, right? It boggles my mind that that if you scale the planet Earth down to like the size of a golf ball, it'll be like infinitely smoother than a golf ball. Because apparently Earth is really round, even with all of our like mountains and valleys. Um, so then I define a missile, but I don't have a scene for the missile. Oh, I do have a scene for the missile. It's just in my other project. Well, let me see if I can grab it. Remember why we started. All right, there's my missile. Um, so then this becomes missile, has kinetic 10, maneuver 6, 4, 4, 2, 0. Category is a missile. Okay. So then, if I wanted to create, so this is part of the challenge. If I wanted to dynamically create a missile, I would need like a almost need. I wonder if my missiles need to be in their own group. Okay. What am I doing with my life? Okay, so this makes sense. This is how I basically handle my data. My scenes, my type information, type enums. This, oh, I need to rename this. Rename. It becomes type entity. That looks good. So we still want the ability to launch a weapon, which means you still need like the whole target and shooter IDs that I was doing. I still like the idea of a command API. But now the command API is that the entities group, right? I have an entities group. Okay, so I get the entities group. I would need to create, I would almost, oh, is that what I need to do? I need to create an entity scene. I guess that's what this is. I'm calling it enemy, but really, is it an entity? Yeah, that's going to be the dynamic data. So I still need a data entity. Ooh, except now it's going to be a node. So I have an entity. The entity will have a category. Am I doing that wrong? Type enums. unknown. And then, oh man, it's not even an entity. It's a track. How am I doing this again? So I assign it a type. That gives its stats. But eventually I'm going to want like weapons, which will have logic to contain an enemy's weapon loadout. An enemy might have a radar. I don't know why I looked up radar. It's a node. An enemy is going to have motion. An enemy is going to have maneuvers. All of that needs to process even when it's not visible. Can I do that? I want to ask. New question for LLM. I want to define scene nodes that describe an entity, position, type, and capabilities in a world. The player will have a radar that will depict these entities in the world visually, which may differ from the original entity description. Is there a way I can hide the entity visualization but have its logic still run so that I can use the player's radar to visualize the entities? See if it understands what I'm trying to do. Set visible to false. Hides all rendering for that subtree. Does not stop the process logic. Continues normally. Work per node. Oh. Some reason I thought Godot stopped processing if they weren't visible. Hey, I'm already doing that. Sweet. Okay. Okay. So I think I'm on the right track doing it the Godot way, if you will, which I don't necessarily agree with. Sometimes you just gotta work within the limits of the tool. So I think that means I have a general world entity where I can do drag and drop editing. Why can't I see that? Is it because I didn't scale it? Visibility, transform, scale, 64 by 64. Oh, it doesn't visualize because I'm freaking doing this on Ready. Is there no way to... How do I do this? Is there no way to... Is it that easy? Ooh, we didn't like that. Resulted in error, file not found. File... Okay, whatever. Lame. Lame. Okay. I guess that's fine. This will be where all the logic lives, but I don't really need the visual representation here. So we defined its capability here. But then I'm going to need a player to render what it sees. So I add these to the entities group and use that to look up the data to process. And then I would just call dot type entity dot. Okay. So this makes sense. I think I understand now. Is that all the questions I had? I think that makes sense. All right. I think I'm ready to go back to my actual game. Sure. Save, quit. Oh, it really doesn't like that. Don't save. Okay. So I don't need this anymore. Okay. All right. So I might try and do that data management solution that I just learned. It's going to take a lot of work. All of this because I needed to launch a weapon. Oh my gosh. Because I don't have... Did I ever answer that question? Because if I try to launch a weapon... We're still going to need commands to perform actions that would create an entity, which is what that resource would be. Did I answer that question? How do you... I don't think I ever answered that question because I wanted to figure out how to actually dynamically create an entity from a resource file. If it makes sense to do that. Or if I need to create a generic entity node and assign... Maybe that's what it is. I create a generic entity node and assign a type to it. Well, that's the same issue I have with the freaking scenes, I think. So I want to dynamically assign stats, visuals, and anything else I want based on what this enumeration is. Hmm. Decisions. So am I going to need... This might be different. So I'm going to have specific types of information. Because I want to, when I'm assigned an air missile, I want to load, I want to create an entity node and assign it a missile type. So that's basically like here, var entity. Can I even, I gotta give it a class name. So if I have an entity class name, entity dot new, entity dot type entity would equal load missile.tscene, right? But I don't want to, or no, it wouldn't be missile.tscene. It would be, gosh, how do you even do this? Missile dot missile.tres. Okay. As a resource. I don't want that. It would have to be like type entity. Oh. Holy giant Batman. Don't need to scale it now. Okay. And here we would, what would we do? We do like, kind of want to just call this once. So let's not do it here. Let's do it here. Cannot add child on all that. I don't know how to reference the parent. So how do I go from this to using that enum? I guess another registration where I assign the enum to these missile TRES files. How would I handle dynamically loading and assigning T-res files to a node? Unless I can reference the type itself somehow. What is this music? All right, so it's saying to just call load. Resource loader. What is resource loader? Is that a thing? What is... You have to import the files into the engine first to load them using load. If you want to load images at runtime, you may use image.load. If you want to import audio, non-resource files such as plain text files cannot be read using resource loader. Oh, this is general resource loading, not like resource type. Yeah, this is just loading assets. Okay, so that's probably not what I need. That's exactly what I was about to do. Do not use this runtime loading approach to load resources that are part of the project, as it's less efficient and doesn't allow benefiting from Godot's resource handling functionality. Import process for details. Ooh, Slip, you might have been onto something with that import. Let's see. What is import? Re-importing multiple assets. While working on a project, you may find that several assets need to have the same parameters changed, such as enabling... maybe not. Maybe this isn't what I need. I just want to load a T-res file. Yeah, this isn't it. This is not the answer. Plain text and binary. It's not what I want. None of this is what I want. Oh my gosh. Take care, Slip. Appreciate you coming by, saying hi. Have a good evening or day, depending on where you're at. Okay, so it is just calling load. We can preload if you know the file path beforehand. Okay. So if I know the path, then that's what I want. Using resource loader advance. Okay. So I think I can use preload here. Preload. As type entity. I don't understand. Is type entity not type entity? Oh, I don't need to do that. I keep forgetting. I only need to do that if it's a variable. Okay, there we go. Okay. So I'll have to handle adding, removing, which I think I'm already doing. On track added. Instantiate the node. Scale it. Color it. Add it. On track removed. Free it. Erase it. I guess that automatically removes it from its parent. When deleted, all of its children are deleted as well, and all references to the node and its children become invalid. I don't know if that means it removes it from its parent or not. Okay. Okay. I think that makes sense. So then anytime I want to create a new entity, it's basically doing this, assigning it state based on whatever type it is. So this would be like load type info, and then it would be type enums dot category dot weapon air missile. So it would load that information. It would return this. That would give us the state we need for our missile. We would honestly add this to like a missile group, I guess. Add to group missiles, comma, entity, something like that. What? Oh, you have to do it on the node. Interesting. Entity dot add to group missiles. Does Godot enum support converting to string? Because that would be better than using text here. Nope, it's just an enum. That's fair. Wasn't sure. So we could add a missile to, or we could add an entity to the missile group. We might also want to add it to the entity group. Because anything in the entities group can get picked up by a radar. And then, I guess it depends on how we want to handle logic. If we wanted to process all nodes in the missiles group for motion, we could. Or, see, I think I'm doing this wrong. I don't think we do this at all. We probably have predefined scene nodes with all the processing nodes under them and assign that predefined node to the type category and then load the node and add it as a child. So then it will handle rendering itself, processing, moving, all of that. Oy vey. This is just a completely different way of thinking about implementing this than anything I've ever done. At all. What time is it? It is getting late. Just a little bit longer. All right. So, if that's the case, then I almost need to create a folder that represents all of the entities in my game as logic. So if I create a entities folder, no, I already have a scenes folder. Scenes is probably okay, because the issue I'm running into, or the thing I'm thinking about now, is I want to be able to define missile. So we're going to have a missile T-scene file that can move. Is that character body 2D? I mean, I could just run my own logic, honestly. So it'll be node. Really? Oh, is that what this is? I'm dumb. Okay. So we have a missile scene. We're also going to have a motion script. Oh. Excuse me. Hello. Hello, Aaron TV. How goes it? How's your evening? So if we have a motion script, then that means we want to add it at, ooh, I gotta actually define the script. So this is class name motion extends node. Motion. All right, so we have a motion script whose purpose is to take the stats of our missile and move it. Running into the old art block? Fair. Are you trying to draw something and are stuck? Because I'm trying to implement a game and I'm stuck. Motion. So now I can take my old logic then, which was like, what was that called? Update? Motion. System motion. I'm gonna, what's the best way to do this? I guess I can just copy and paste it. I'll copy it. Nope, that's the wrong one. So oh my gosh, pixel perfect SCNS art style button 3D. That sounds intense. Also, you've been working on the same project for 4.5 years? I am impressed. I've been doing this for this Godot project for 2 months, and I'm pulling my hair out. And you see the shapes I'm doing. I'm just doing triangles, but oh, you're porting over to Godot? Nice. I'm a C++ engineer background. I still do C++ full time. So trying to learn Godot and how Godot does things is it's been a change of pace, I'll tell you. So I actually implemented a bunch already. As you can see, I already have like somewhat of a game running, but I'm running into issues trying to implement it my way versus implementing it Godot's way. So I'm exploring to see how I would do this Godot's way. So I guess my scene would use an entity script still, which is what this is. I need to rename this. Rename entity. There we go. And then I want to attach an entity script. So that gives my missile stats. And then motion. Two and a half D 8-bit Game Boy voxel RPG that during the events of the game you restore the world's color, thus recovering. That sounds like a pretty awesome game. And if you've been working out for 4.5 years, I would, you must have made a lot of progress. Probably learned a lot. Are you streaming right now? Is that where you're trying to show me? Let's see here. Motion. So we actually want physics process. Oh, that'll work. Yeah, toss me your or show me what to look up on itch, and I can take a look real quick. I'm curious. The Kingdom of Alon, the New Age. Well, I can already like this already looks kind of cool. I'll give you that. Now has a Linux version. Nice. Nice. You've already got like people playing your game or taking or checking it out. That's awesome. Don't download a demo on there. It's old. That's why I'm porting it. Oh, it's broken. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. You say you're porting it to Godot. What were you using before? That does look really cool. Okay, that's fair. Let's see. Physics process. What do I need? I need kinetic. Oh, wow. Yeah. Godot has changed a lot, hasn't it? Right, let's see if this works. How do I get access to... Man. I don't know how you access your parent. Var entity. This need to be on ready. On ready. Does that work? Can we do var? Does that work? Can I just how do I get to my main? How do I add? Okay. Can I run this? It did not work. Let's see. With lighting and shadows, I was doing in the old engine. Lucky to get 15. Now you're getting about 2 to 300. Finally finished my color system shader for the... Dude. I've been doing C++ for like the past 15 years. You are so much more advanced than I am with Godot. That's awesome. I have done minimal, very minimal graphics shading over my career. I'm always impressed by what people create with their shaders. So let me ask you this. You have your game on itch. When did you first put it on there? Did you put it on there before it was like ready? Or did you wait like after a couple of years of development and then put it on there so people could start trying it out? Or do you let like members try it out as you're developing it? Because at some point, I'm working on getting this demo up for my game, and at some point, I want to like get it in the hands of other people to at least try out, so I can figure out what's fun or what's not fun, and make adjustments early on before I put too much effort into this. I have some friends who are going to try it out, but I wonder if it would be worth my while to do like an super early access. You put it on there when you had the core things you wanted to show. Okay. So basically when you had like the main gameplay loop. That makes sense. That makes 100% sense. I already forgot what I was doing. Missile. So we have a motion script. Kinetic. I think I need maneuver as well, right? Maneuver. Oh, did the same thing. Maneuver. Oh wait, something wasn't working. Invalid access to property or key seen on a base. Wait, what? This was working before. Oh, I didn't assign anything to right. I think I just need to assign a missile to it. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Okay. All right, so this defines the type. Wouldn't say the main gameplay loop, but over one game called Evoland that changes its game stop from 2D to PlayStation 1. Signage to do the color system, put it out there. What do you think? Then based on what people think. Okay, so you actually took feedback and made changes. Okay. Standpoint work. So I think that's the approach I'm going to take here. I'm trying to set up a simple, I say simple, but you know, I've been at this for a couple months now. But a simple like scenario, aircraft fighter scenario where it's like 4 regular enemies plus a boss, and the regular enemies are going to be shooting at you kind of thing, but the boss is actively going to be trying to get behind you to blast you with like an ion cannon. So I'm trying to figure out essentially the combat loop and have a couple of friends play it to see if it's actually playable for one, if it's any fun. Because we might go like I got a couple other guys who pitch in every now and then, but we might go turn-based strategy RPG route with this. Hard to tell, hard to say. Okay, yeah, casting your fishing line, see what bites. No, I like that approach. I really like that approach. It also probably helps you build a community, and start to find people who are interested, which is really cool. I don't know how much I like this or not. So we give this guy motion. Could give this entity throttle. All right. This is going to take some thought. These are hard to find stats. Is that even true? Do I need to... You're eventually going to have modifiers. Because you can have boss enemies with equipment that increases or decreases their stats. So now I'm wondering if instead of this, I create a stats object that gets assigned from this scene. So now, how am I doing this? So I have a type entity. This almost needs to be type stats. Let's try that. Yeah, you're. Let's see. Sort of like, yeah, you're getting my game combat when I prototype is going to be like Final Fantasy Tactics, but high positioning our key. Okay, yeah, man. And you're already 4.5 years into this. I'm just so impressed by that. The ability to stick to a project and make progress has to feel good. Do you know about singletons? Oh, I do know about singletons. Yes. So I'm actively playing around with a fresh instance of Godot right now, but I do have this right here, which is a lot of implementation in place. And one of the things I use is a singleton to access global state, like data models, that kind of thing, that my nodes are going to need. So I am making use of that as a singleton, and then I add anything else I want global access to, I add as variables to the singleton. Oops, that's way too big. Just wanted to resize this. Ooh, it's still big. What's going on with my vertical? That's fair. That's fair. Coding, programming small things is kind of easy, right? You just have to look up some YouTube videos, look up some tutorials, and write some stuff, and boom, you got it up and running. But trying to put together anything complex like a video game, um, and keeping your sanity while doing it, that is kind of tough. So I'm kind of in that phase right now where I started writing a bunch of code, got it up and running, which is what this window is. But now I'm starting to lose some of my sanity, so I'm reevaluating how to use Godot now that I know a little bit more knowledge about it, to see if I can come up with better solutions to maintain it and keep the development productive. So now that I have type stats, is that exposable? Oh boy. Oh, it's not exposable as individual properties? Oh, it is. Oh, let's go. Oh, that's huge. Okay. So, okay. So, let's see. What is this? This is a fighter. A fighter is like 8 speed, 6 maneuver, 4 durable, 4 compute, 4 sensor. Not very stealthy. Okay, so that defines a fighter. So then a missile is going to be super fast, moderately maneuverable, not very durable, not very smart, and not stealthy at all. Okay. Now I can define those, and then I can here, I don't have type entity. Instead, I have I guess I still have type. Oh man, I don't know what I have here. So this becomes like type entity dot stats dot kinetic stats dot maneuver. Okay, so that still works. The systems I have in the old demo, let alone the color system, I think I'm driving my code crazy. To name a few, I'm gonna have a morality system where the player can choose to literally protect or destroy every town, city, mob, area. Woo! That is an ambitious system. That'll be impressive if you end up pulling that off. Entity, let's see. So I want to man. What do I want to do? I just want to like initialize the entity stats. So maybe it's not this, or I can still assign this. Hey, you know, that's a part of learning your tools and working with old systems, right? You'll do the best that you can with what you have. That includes the knowledge and skills that you have. And as you improve, as long as you're not like refactoring over and over and it's preventing you from making progress, but as you improve your skill set, it does make life a little easier. Um, so I almost wonder. if the entity class has kinetic or has stats, type stats equals null. I don't like that. How do I do this? What's the best way to do this? At onReady equals so is this not instantiated by default? I wonder if that's instantiated. Do I actually need to do... Maybe I do. The old engine didn't use shaders, so my character had over 1,000 baked texture. Oh my gosh. Wow. That's an impressive amount of that's an impressive amount of textures, first of all, but also an impressive performance improvement in streamlining your solution. That's amazing. Oh, you hand drawing your textures? Do you use like oh, what are the ones I'm aware of? I'm aware of like, is it called Krita? Krita and what's the other one? Aspirite? Am I saying that right? Aspirite? I'm also aware of GIMP. Do you use any of those kind of tools to create your textures? Aspirite. Okay. Yeah. Okay. As 2D tile sheets. Sweet. Yeah, I've tried to make textures. I'm terrible at it. Obviously, need to practice, and I just never put forth the effort. At onReady, var stats. See, I need to like... I guess I just need to do this. It's not onReady. So I instantiate... Oh, that's the visual element. So I need to do like... Oh, it's only the pack scene I need to instantiate. Wait a minute, this might actually work. Type entity dot stats dot... Is there a clone? Copy? At export... Magic voxel, make the 3D model, look at what I did for the 2D tile sheet, redo it for the 3D voxel, then convert the model to an object. Or 16 by 16, I make a mechanics library, and then use grid maps to make model. Okay. That's pretty awesome. It's pretty smart. You've probably have learned a ton. Type stats. Is there not a clone or something? Duplicate. Duplicate deep? Wait, what? What? What's the difference? Oh, I see. I don't really need that for what I'm doing here. Okay, so I'm going to copy my stats. That way, I can modify my stats with upgrade bonuses. I have about 408 tiles done, and that's just the first region of the world map. Oh my gosh, that is a crap ton of tiles. Just how many, let's see, of the world map and its areas. Yeah, how many, like, different areas are you going to do? Do you have any idea how many tiles in total you think you'll end up doing? Or is this going to be is this a forever project where you just keep tinkering with it and adding on to it? Do I need that? I'm making this too difficult for myself. I don't need this. Okay. I will need... Maybe I do need it, because I will need a function. So it'll be like function get kinetic. Return type entity dot stats dot kinetic. Because I will want to, like, get the total maneuver. Return type entity dot stats dot maneuver. Okay. Ooh, did I do this in the right one? Yeah, I think so. Motion. So I get the parent entity, so now I can just do entity get kinetic, entity get maneuver. First region was the world map of the reason, and there are going to be 15 areas. Oh, geez. All right, so let me ask you this: based on the rate of progress that you've made over the years, how much longer do you think it's going to take you? I assume you've gotten faster at it, right? Made things easier for yourself, so I assume it'll go quicker. Kinetic maneuver. Okay, so that works. Now I can add throttle, steering. Maybe that's not what I do. Maybe I add it to motion object. Man, how's that going to work as a player? This node-based solution doesn't play well with, like, serialization. I mean, it can. I got some research to do. All right. I've got some research to do with my project. I think I've got to really think about how I want to handle either this node-based solution or my current solution, which is more data-oriented, with systems and things like that. I'm not sure. All right. I think I am going to call it here. Can export all my assets, work from the old engine to the Godot with a few extra steps I need to do. Elementals, dialogue boxes, quest items, gameplay mechanics, sound to meet my other stuff. Okay. That's not bad. In all things considered, that's kind of awesome. I'll have to I'll have to keep an eye on that game. I'll be curious to see how it turns out. All right, Aaron. I think I am going to call it here. I've already streamed a little bit longer than I had planned to. I really appreciate you stopping by and chatting with me. Hopefully I will catch you around, and maybe I can keep an eye on the progress for your game. All right, Aaron. I am calling it here. Thanks for stopping by. Really appreciate you saying hi. It was nice chatting with you. And